Hello and welcome once again, everyone, to another engaging session of the Organic Majlis. Today, we will have the Market Entry Masterclass for Spanish products in the Middle East and North African region. I'm your host, Shinu Pillai, from Global Links Exhibitions, organizers of the 23rd Middle East Organic and Natural Products Expo in Dubai, held at Dubai World Trade Center from 17 to 19 November this year. The Organic Majlis is the Middle East online community of exporters and importers of all things bio, natural, and organic. Spanish products are gaining strong traction across the GCC, driven by rising demand for fresh produce. Spanish fruits like citrus and different kinds of berries are becoming staples in regional supermarkets, thanks to their quality, safety, and year-round availability. Meanwhile, the beauty and personal care market is seeing growth, interest in clean label, natural cosmetics from Spain, aligned with the Gulf's increasing shift towards safe and authentic self-care solutions. With proven reliability and innovation, Spain continues to be a key partner for buyers across the sectors. During our masterclass today, we will have the privilege of hearing from leading importers, distributors, and e-commerce giants who will shed light on the growing demand, policy, landscape, emerging trends, and much more. I would like to also welcome all the exporters who have joined on the other side from Spain, Portugal, Mexico, and a few other Spanish-speaking regions. So without further ado, allow me to introduce our esteemed panelists for the day. So first up, we have Svetlana Belousova, a procurement and global sourcing leader with one of the leading distributors in UAE, that is Farzana Trading. She has extensive experience in the food industry, specializing in fresh produce, poultry, and table eggs. With over 6 years of international procurement leadership, she drives sourcing and import operations across the UAE, GCC, India, Jordan, and Russia. Wow, that's a big list. Focused on building strategic supplier partnerships and expanding market access, she plays a key role in introducing high-quality Spanish food products to the Middle East through efficient supply chain and trade execution. Svetlana, welcome.
Thank you.
So next we have Mohammed Zaman, a seasoned professional with over 8 years of experience in product development, business management, and market expansion. As a project manager and business development manager for organic and bio, he focuses on both local and international organic markets, driving strategic partnerships and access to ethically grown food. A strong advocate of sustainable food systems, Zaman is committed to promoting the impact of organic agriculture on health and the environment. Hello, Zaman.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Next, we have, of course, our friend Mardo, Managing Director of Taste of Spain, LLC, leading UAE-based distributor specializing in the import of Spanish food products across the Middle East. With over a decade of experience in international trade and retail collaboration, Landa leads sourcing, logistics, and market development for Spanish, organic, and gourmet brands across the GCC region. Once again, welcome, Landa.
Thank you very much. Buenas tardes a todos. Good afternoon to everyone.
And of course, last but not the least, allow me to introduce our partner from Spain, that's Oriol, Urrutia. So Oriol is a co-editor at BioEco Actual, the leading organic trade magazine. And of course, he's a familiar face in the European organic industry. So a warm welcome to all of you. And I will leave the floor to say a few words to our Spanish audience. So Oriol, it's all yours.
Thanks a lot, Shinu. It's a pleasure to be here and be joining this conference with these experts that I'm sure that it will be very useful for our audience. And I will say a few words in Spanish to the companies that are joining us today, and I'm sure that it will be a very interesting session. Buenos días a todos. Muchas gracias por participar. Creo que va a ser una conferencia que va a aportar mucho valor porque los expertos que nos acompañan hoy tienen mucho que decir de sus respectivas categorías. Especialmente hoy en fruta y verdura es una conferencia que va a ser muy útil. Y os diría que no lo dejéis perder, absorber el máximo de información posible. Esto luego también estará disponible. Y por mi parte, decir que estamos a vuestra disposición durante esta sesión, por supuesto, y durante todo el año, para cualquier consulta, para entrar en el mercado y, por supuesto, para participar en la feria, de la cual Shinu es el director y todo su equipo. Se aseguran de que vayan todos los compradores año tras año, que ya es el 23, la 23ª edición. Shino is the 23rd edition, right, of the
23rd,
trade fair?
23rd,
That's
okay.
amazing. So I leave the floor to my colleagues and at your disposal for anything about Spain.
Thank you, Oriol. So I think quite naturally, most of the questions that we are getting, the exporters, all of them, they would want to know what are the trends, what is in demand, right? So I think we'll address that probably as a first question. So the first question goes something like this: what are the current trends in Spain UAE trade, and which sectors are experiencing the most growth? So basically, people want to know like where that we are seeing growth from Spain into GCC. So if I may ask Lander to share your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of growth away from the traditional sectors like construction and energy, which have been obviously the leading sectors from Spain to have that bilateral trade within the UAE. And I would say that within the food sector, the major sectors that we see that every year they're increasing. In terms of organic, I would definitely say the produce, as mentioned by you before, within the produce, berries normally takes between 20 and 30% of the overall produce business, and that's very important. We do have to highlight its importance in the supply chain and how it's a high risk country due to the high temperatures involved in the logistics. So it's something that has to be taken into consideration. And all the other products and the segments within the organic products will be anything that's health related. So any packed items, especially extra virgin olive oils, that obviously the UAE is very fond of the traceability and the EU standards. So within the Spanish products, I would definitely highlight them.
Okay, interesting. Mohammed, is that a similar trend that you see in your business? I think you're on mute.
Is it good now?
Perfect.
Yeah. So I second Belousova on that model on that. The trends have changed. Giving you a little idea of Spanish, see, I'm currently working already with the Spanish produce. I'm already bringing them here from Spain, distributing them through all major retail channels and platforms of UAE, including e-commerce and retailers. Okay, the products are very much welcomed. The quality is amazing. People love that. It's just that the cost of freight has to be, adjusted somehow. It's just that the supply chain has to be improved a bit. A more, push on the marketing part has to be done. But there is a very good growth and promising future for the Spanish range, especially in organic foods and vegetables. Yeah.
Brilliant. Interesting that both of you mentioned, while we were talking about trends, both of you mentioned the importance of supply chain, right? So how has the supply chain evolved in recent years, and what does that mean for the exporters? If I could bring in Svetlana here. So,
Yeah, I want to first jump in the first question and also highlight that food sector being growing for UAE and Spanish produce, especially the air shipment, which is currently now we have blueberry, strawberry, custard apple. And as well, when it comes to the season, so it falls to the apple and the oranges, pears, persimmon. But a logistic issue being something very challenging since we have this Suez Canal crisis from last year, as transit time extended significantly and many containers just cannot come to the UAE directly. However, for us in Farzana, we still have a wide range of our connections. So we have our presence in the Saudi Arabia, and we can still ship it to the Jeddah port. But to talk about the Jabal Aliyah, it's been a very significant issue in terms of transit time, in terms of the even cost to get the final cost of the product. And we just hear the last news from this week that hopefully has a resolution, the Suez Canal issues, so that the Spanish product can back to be, you know, as consistent as it used to be on special product season.
Okay, so there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, let's hope there is, because
we actually looking at this light since last season, you know. It's foggy a little bit, but it's getting better.
apart from those supply chain constraints, you know, having longer lead times, you know, tends to lead to, you know, harder planning, so more difficult to understand, you know, when you should bring the right product at the right time, and specifically something that's very important for all the businesses, the cash flow. So more time the product spends in the water, the less, you know, the more time that you'll take to actually receive the money to get paid. So that's also very promising that hopefully the, you know, the geopolitical issues cease, and we can have faster shipments from Spain to this region.
Yeah. No, I just would like to add that that's the reason, you know, KCA has taken place and a part of the trade with Spain, because it was the fastest destination for Spanish product, which could still have sustainable quality upon arrival. And as you say, cash flow would be secure because the transit time would still be the same as in the past 20 days. But, you know, for talking about the other regions, part of UAE, we would be doing in the past destinations like Qatar, Kuwait, which will be a way longer than just 50, 60 days. And for us to seize this season, many suppliers just refuse to do this business because it's just not going to come. It's the right quality after 60, 70 days. And yeah, I believe also the cash flow plays its role. As you say, we see the brightness in the fog.
Exactly. And just upon that, so once the resolution is in place, does that mean that it will be much easier to re-export to the neighboring market from Dubai?
Re-export currently happening itself. There is nothing affected to us. What I meant is that we would do direct shipment to countries as Kuwait, Qatar. So instead of bringing it here, discharging, and then taking trucks to those destinations, it would come directly as to be before January 2024. So that's where also significant business been missing, and actually even to Jabal Ali, the whole of been missing due to those reasons. Or this.
Interesting. Mohammed, I know that part of you are involved on the retail side of things, right? So what kind of demography is generating this demand for Spanish products in your view?
Well, for the organic consumption, just to give you an overview about the consumption of it, the overall market industry for the organic, about 20% produce is being produced over here, 80% is being imported from around the world, which is about $33 million. It's a huge amount, and every year it's growing. Last year it was 10%. This year it's expected to be 20% growth in the industry. In this segment, every country is participating their part. Okay, like countries like Lebanon, we are bringing most of the products from Lebanon and distributing them here. We are bringing from India, Kenya, New Zealand, a lot of other countries. The good thing about the Spanish products that I have noticed so far over here is that the nuclear families are changing their consumption trends. People, you know, with small families, newly became parents, they tend to feed their kids with the organic produce. So these people are evolving. These people are coming up as organic buyers, and for them the availability is very important. UAE is an arid climate country. It's a very harsh environment over here, harsh temperature over here. You cannot grow produce every year around the year. Throughout here, you cannot do that. We have only very short window of about 4 to 5 months of local season where we produce everything. But apart from that, we don't have anything. So availability is the biggest concern for the organic consumers. This is where the Spanish produce play a good part in that, especially when we are out of season. When after May we are out of season, we don't have anything except cucumber or peppers here. So in that time, the Spanish produce plays a bigger part to the families who want to, change their overall eating consumption behaviors to the organics, and that's why they are being loved on the shelves, and we are getting very positive feedbacks on that. We even, we went applying a lot of exclusive items, and we got very positive feedback on that. So it's very much appreciating for us as well.
Okay.
One question, Shinu, if you allow me, for Lander and Svetlana, is due to in the current situation and in relation to the your previous answer, what would you be the ideal transport solution at this moment for Spanish producers?
So allow me to go first, Svetlana, sorry, and then I'll pass on to you. So obviously, when we talk about organic produce and organic products, obviously they are more delicate than other products. So air freight is normally the unified solution to be able to transport the goods as fast as possible. But I think that big companies, and this is what Svetlana has mentioned, within the UAE region, people and companies that have access and control to other markets like Saudi, they can actually provide transshipments. So they will load a container from Spain, it will go to Saudi within 12 days, plus another 2 days to clear, and then they will actually do a transshipment by truck from Saudi to the UAE, allowing a total transit time of around 22 to 24 days. Correct me if I'm wrong, Svetlana. But those would obviously be the two transits and the two selected transport methods. Obviously, if we're talking about produce, without a doubt, it will have to be by air, meaning that obviously the cost of the product will be increased.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So definitely, this was the first solution which happened as being transferred to the Saudi Arabia first. How to say, any product could be come here by air, but yeah, the cost is matters. We are talking at the end of the day about the value of the business. How many pallets of some product you can get if the cost is at this level, or how many containers you can get if the cost is at different level. So as the current situation and in the season now we are, so as some of you were mentioning, it's will be the berry season. It will be definitely air shipment, so there is no effect on it. This is what we are looking for now to have it, and custard apple. But when it falls into the season of apple and the pears and the mandarins, that's where it matters that by that time that could be sorted. The situation we have, it could be sorted, because as of today, what Spain available and demanding to us, it should come by air only. So for this, we don't have an issue. But still, yeah, as we were mentioning, it's still sortable. So it increases cost because, yeah, transit time stays same to reach to UAE, but you need to clear it in Saudi. You need to add the cost to transport it here. So definitely your landing cost is getting higher, and you cannot consume as much as you could do it just when it directly.
So I think
there is always a solution. It never stops,
I think to summarize, I think that Spanish exporters should always have the correct partner that create solutions to the problems, rather than just asking them to ship a container and then maybe probably claiming the product because it hasn't arrived with the correct quality because transit time is too long. So aligning with the correct partner locally is extremely important for all the exporters in the country.
Interesting, Landa, that how you brought in that let's say the local partnership, or who they are working with, rather than trying to operate all by themselves and shipping container from Spain, right? Because we have got a few questions about Can you share some effective strategies that have worked for Spanish businesses in establishing their presence in the UAE?
So
Okay,
so who's it for? Because I do speak a lot, so I want to let other people do also speak. So I'll try to add obviously as much information that I can. But if either Mohammed or Svetlana want to reply this, then go ahead.
Yeah, for me, it's very important always in any meetings I have with suppliers to give them very brief how it's right to enter the market. First of all, you need to understand how this market works, basically where your product can fit. This is so much essential because when your Spanish supplier used to be just exporter to the UAE, it has some its specification. It's a short transit time. It's a different consumption. It's a different price strategy. But when you enter here, it's especially UAE is a food hub. So everything comes here and then re-export to nearby countries. So it's important to understand where your product can fit. And you should not forget that UAE in the MENA region is very high competitive market, right or not, Mardo? So that's at the same time there would be several regions competing in the price and for market share. So you have to search very well, and then it comes to the point when you need to have a very right partners who gives you very right insights. So when it comes to the blueberries or any product we speak, you need to say, okay, listen, today is still local berries available. It's not the time to ship. After tomorrow it finish or in a week after, then this is the time you should ship. Then it comes to the apple or pears, it's the same. So the right partners should tell you, listen, today the custard apple is still at very low price from Lebanon, but from next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it will be over. That's the time you have to ship. You have to prepare for the good quality. So that's where, the right strategy. And then for sure you have to make sure that your quality is right for the market, the all specification meet in terms of with the right sizing, the packaging as your client asking. And then to keep update with the market because it's so high dynamic, it's fluctuating, and you really, like myself, I speak every day with 30-40 suppliers just to update them what's happening with the market, to say that's what is, and that's the key points, to understand where your market can fit, your product can fit, to be right in the price strategy and to choose the right partners to extend it and being consistent, not just to do 3-4 shipment and then everybody will forget about your brand. That's not the way you're going to build it and being consistent in the market. That's
right.
From my experience. That's
in essence, you're saying you do multiple masterclasses every day.
Actually, I just had the same topic maybe 1 hour ago. So
right. Okay. So I know that how crucial it is. Because we deal with exporters from over 73 countries. Probably every year, right? So of course, that's the reason we are conducting these kind of master classes so that they can listen, hear, and prepare before they come to the UAE or the Middle East, so they can be better prepared, right? So is that a similar scenario that you go through as well, Lander?
I would say that obviously to leverage local partnership is essential. So well-connected local distributor or consolidator, which is what we are from both Spain and within the UAE, that understands the pricing strategy, the logistics, where the product should be positioned, and especially the buyer relationships within the country. So, for example, working with a partner that can handle the consolidation from Spain, sometimes we see that there's a volume constraint. So we're obviously speaking about a country that has a limited population, and when we look at the organic product itself, we're looking and we're directing the product to somewhat a niche market, right? So sometimes the consolidation is key to actually enter the market. So finding the right partner that can consolidate from Spain and that has access within the UAE can dramatically reduce your time to market and especially the risk.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Mohammed, I know at Organic and Bio, you would be dealing with, like what you said, more than 80% of everything you naturally imported, right? So
Yeah.
is there a specific template? Is there a specific process that you follow in terms of, before you start working with an exporter?
Of course, for us, understanding the seasonality of the supply is very, very critical part because we cannot have five capsicums from different regions at the same shelf. Okay, we actually need to look at the seasonality of where we can fit which product and how. Like for example, as Svetlana mentioned that about the custard apple is available in Lebanon, but for 20 days only. After 20 days, it's available in Spain. Okay, so first of all, the very first task is to understand the seasonality of the supplier we are talking about. The second thing, we have to look at the consumption and the target audience of that product. I can bring, we are bringing products from India, but the target market for those products is different. The platforms where we display or showcase our products are different for India, and they are different for Spanish products. So understanding the audience is very important for task for us. And then comes to the our alliance and partnership with the retailers and e-commerce platforms that we have, the common understanding that we have. We sit together with them. We talk about the packaging part. We talk about the how much grammage should be there. We talk about the quality. We talk about the storage, the shelf life, and everything. And then we move on to the next chapter about the pricing part, which is very much affected by this transport issue, by this availability thing. And of course, we also have to see the local size season. The local season shouldn't be collided because the price difference is too big. From December to May, we have local season here. The lettuces, local organic lettuces are available for like 3 dirham, 4 dirhams. Tomatoes are available for very low prices, cucumber as well. We cannot bring in product from Spain at that time. The same cucumber on the shelf selling at like 15, 20 dirhams a kg. So the seasonality has to be very much, matched and all. But good thing is we have a very short local season over here, which is about 4 months, and 8 months we don't have anything. So that helps us a lot.
Interesting. I know that we have been probably now discussing the logistics side of things, and what grammage, what sizes, what packaging, and how to effectively get into this market. So as a market entry barrier, what are the key regulatory considerations for, let's say, like Spanish companies who are trying to enter this market?
These are, first of all, the organic certifications from the authentic body, control union, or if it is USDA or ESMA for UAE farms, local farms. So the organic certification is the very first step to onboard any supplier in UAE. That is very mandatory, that you cannot supply without this. After that, you have the product specification, that the products you are going to source, do they match the product which are demanded over here? I can bring in sweet potatoes like this big, but I'm not going to sell. Okay, so we have to see the product specification, that whatever the product we are bringing from that region, the taste, color, size, these specifications, do they match for what people demand actually, what the people need? And apart from that, then of course there comes the regulations about the no pesticide, because locally over here there are very strict rules and regulations about traceability and about being the authenticity of organic. So it's very strict over here. You have to match that. You have to follow those instructions again. For the start, these are the barriers that you have to have. Once you have all these covered up, then comes the local partner. As Mardo said before, the local partner is very important. For that, we understand what you are doing, what your vision is, what your objective is, and how to help you out in the whole process.
And one thing that I want to add to that is please, all the exporters, when they have an organic certificate, make sure that it's in English. We see this continuously. We work together with a lot of growers. We work with a lot of companies that have organic products. They send us the organic certificate. It's in Spanish. Guys, nobody speaks Spanish over here, unfortunately. So please have it in English. That's very necessary. And when the product arrives in customs, it's a requirement to clear the goods to have an organic certificate. If we don't have it within a time frame, we get fined. So that's very important. Having it in a timely manner and have it in English, it's completely compulsory.
I mean, it's interesting because sometimes, it's better to cover those basic areas as well, right? Because many a times we get questions asked in terms of whether do we have to register fresh fruit or vegetable in the local Dubai municipality product registration. So we tell them, no, you cannot, and you don't have such a thing. But of course, when it's a packaged product, food product, and whether it's cosmetics or health related, quite naturally, it always helps you to speed up the clearing process, and it's an added advantage. So like as importers, let's say you've got similar similar pricing, everything, and then one of them is locally registered already. So would you naturally give more importance to that one?
I mean, just for registration, me personally within the company, it doesn't really matter. Why? Because luckily, when the Dubai municipality site actually is functioning and you can actually register, it takes within 3 to 5 business days to register any type of product. The most time consuming part is to inform the brands and inform the growers, for example, what are the requirements? So what labeling requirements within the labels, what has to be translated into English, into Arabic, what kind of pictures we need to actually register the product. That's the most time-consuming process. Once all that is set in place, the actual registration of the product takes within 3 to 5 business days, and once that is accepted, then you can freely import the product. So if it's something that that we have to import from one day to another, then obviously something that's registered would have an advantage. But if it's something that's in the pipeline, this is the advantages that Dubai Trade offers to importers and to distributors within the region is the facility and the readiness to register products very smoothly.
One more point,
Yep.
I would like to mention about it, that when the growers are, we as the importers, we would love to source direct from the farms, but what stops us is that the range and the availability of a farm and the capacity of a farm producing 4 items altogether and expecting, especially for the organic range, and expecting to ship it to UAE is hard for him to do that, because with 4 products we cannot fill the volume of 1 ton, and we cannot get the maximum benefit out of it. So that's why we usually go with the aggregators who are aggregating all these produce from the local farms and then sending them to us. So if there are like local farmers unions or something like that, which compile their list together, which could come up together and bring up something good that helps us to add more items, add more volume, and get the benefit out of the cost of freight and supply chain cost and all. And for them, it makes it possible to ship their products to the UAE market. So the scale has to be there, scale of volume and the scale of range.
Okay. And Mohammed, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, that applies mostly to the fresh produce, right?
Yeah, that applies to most of the fresh produce, yes.
Okay.
Actually, I would like to add, I think we mostly cover organic part for the fresh produce, but I think maybe some of our audience also into poultry export or eggs. So we actually have a very good and strong trade on those categories in the past. However, due to the price fluctuation, it's just not competing nowadays. However, what it's important to know for them that, like in organic, there needs to be a certificate for importing table eggs, poultry, meat. They also need to be having a certificate as a halal certificate, and for the poultry meat. And if it's a table eggs, they need to have a health certificate along with standard certificate of origin. So that should be, means a farm should be approved for that.
And
to be.
let me ask you, Svetlana, because obviously there's loads of exporters that have halal products, and there is different certifications of halal, right? So there is the standard certification that could, for example, work in Europe, in France, and then there's the GSO, right, that applies to this region. So what would be the difference for these exporters to understand the difference between each certificate?
Yeah, well, so before any of this product can be imported, should be in a list or officially presented for the UAE that it's approved to be imported here. So that the slaughterhouse itself must be approved to be entered in the country. So it's also has a type of the certificates, which we also face-to-face discussing before the company wants to enter, so that we make sure we have all needed documents, so we don't face any problem when it comes to here. But talking about these barriers, I think all of us seen 2 weeks ago, maybe it was a call between UAE and European Union on the comprehensive economic agreement. So that's where we maybe will get more beneficial points on make the process easier on some documentation as well. And it would also possibly give a chance to not to have a custom duty for 5%, which is now applied for all import of table eggs and poultry and meat. Because fresh produce doesn't have the custom.
Exactly. Very valid point, Svetlana, because I think the SEPA agreement, I think, that should ease the trade between, in essentially between UAE and Europe in general, right? So I know that one of you mentioned about the traceability of the product, right? Just out of interest, are we seeing more uptake for products that comes with GI tagging?
Not me. That's why I haven't answered.
Okay.
Not yet.
Because I know that,
I haven't had any of our customers request that for now.
Okay.
Maybe it's something that the other panelists can reply.
Yeah, yet to see that phenomena here. Mohammed,
no, it doesn't go with us. For us,
Yeah.
the traceability is a little different. We do ask for the rules. We do ask for random testing for the products. Like not every shipment, like with randomly, we do that. But we don't need the tagging for now.
Okay. So I think pretty good. I think, we have very well covered in terms of, the market entry barriers and how to get better prepared and, those areas, right? So I think I'm just looking at my screen. I've got a few questions around challenges, right? I mean, of course, they now know what are the opportunities and what is in demand. And so the questions are around what are the common challenges faced by Spanish exporters in the UAE? I mean, people who try to import Spanish products, and how can they be mitigated? So is there anything specific that you have come across that, as a challenge while you're trying to import Spanish products so that our audience can be better prepared? So basically that I know where the question is coming from, right?
So let me go first, guys. And I think that my main issue, or the issue that we face more commonly, is that a lot of Spanish exporters, they want to expand internationally, and they want to come into a market like the UAE, and their packaging is not prepared for a market like this. And most of the times it's because the packaging doesn't come in English. So it's not only the labeling, it's the whole packaging itself. And sometimes it's a bit challenging because of the volumes that this market requires. So it's not as big as other markets. So obviously to adapt a full packaging to a different language requires a minimum of prints, and that sometimes is challenging for the brands. But sometimes we've actually imported very interesting brands that want to expand into this market, and we've actually put them in shelves within the retailers. And they don't have that rotation because the end customer within the supermarket doesn't really understand what the packaging says. Sometimes it's extremely clear, But I think that, you know, marketing within packaging is extremely important, and that's one of the challenges that we faced when importing Spanish products. But we do have, you know, that communication, and I think everyone does, with all the exporters to understand where the product sits, what their capabilities are of in terms of packaging and marketing. And once that is solved, then we only then start to import the products. But for sure, that would be one of the challenges that I would like to highlight.
Okay. Thanks on
Yeah,
that.
I think
How about you,
from our side, I think it all again falls into understanding how the market works. Where also the point which was just said, the important, the packaging, but before that, also the item itself. You know, like we receive many times some Spanish suppliers which would come with some product, but due to high competitivity in the market, it just cannot fit into it. You know, due to the high prices. So it's so important to understand where you have the window of your product you can supply when here is no availability of it. Again, we fall for the berries now, and then for the custard apple. Then when it comes to the orange season, like now, which is ending already on the navel. So to know the client preference, so he doesn't produce just like potato and say I want to export it. You need to know if you have a chance into here. I know that some products can be still imported for potato, even there is a high competition. But again, question what the value of it, volume of it. It would be not even a container, it would be maybe air shipment, few pallets. But if we want to talk about entering the market and being well recognized and have a good market share, so you need to know what's the demand on which product and what the seasonality of those products you produce and when you can sell. That's from my point is always a big question when it's good when your suppliers coming to us and seeing the market when they already know where they can fit, that they produce, for example, a Kalini pears, and they know that we will demand here. They produce Royal Gala, they produce Grainy, they produce persimmon, so they know we will be demanding that. That's, you know, search study before entering the market. I think that's where is a big point. And yeah, like it then falls into the packing, the variety of it. That's where supplier needs to be ready. And again, for third, important to find the right partners. So with all of these dynamic changes and the fluctuation of the market, it's very important to choose a partner and be sure they update you with the real insights. You know, they don't overpromise you something that you just look, oh, okay, they can pay me in euro this money, but are you sure it's gonna happen? You know, I mean, it's just you need to be realistic. You need to know what other products available in the market, how much they sold, and then you link it all together. So from my own experience being doing this, the best suppliers who really knows how the market works and what the value his product can bring to its market.
Yeah, totally agree. I think market fit and seasonality and all of that are like, you know, quite crucial, right? I know that our discussion is a little bit skewed towards fresh produce or fresh fruits and vegetables. So I would want to listen to Mohammed to see, because he deals with multi-product, multi-sector. So what is it that you see on the other side, Mohammed? Because I know that you keep or you bring in food products and even cosmetics, right? For that matter.
Sorry, we don't do cosmetics, but we do food products.
Okay.
We call them grocery products, non-fresh.
Okay.
We have recently launched our e-commerce platform with Fresh and Book, and we are focused on that with all the range of organic grocery products that we are bringing from directly, and we are also sourcing from the local partners. So we are actually very actively looking for partners to come on board with us, talk about the range they can provide us, like cereals, pulses, grains. We are open to everything. So we would love to connect with people for that.
Nice. Because interesting, just one question popped up because somebody was probably listening to our conversation, and the question is, How is e-commerce catching up? And e-commerce versus the brick and mortar business, right? So that's a question because all of you has mentioned about e-commerce. So let's start with Mohammed. So what prompted you to get into that e-commerce business, and what's the value, what's the growth that you see in that sector?
See, e-commerce has always been there. It was always been a beautiful thing that everybody wants. But after COVID, it changed everything. It changed the overall purchasing behaviors of the consumers, the shoppers. A huge numbers of the consumers have shifted. About 25% have shifted to e-commerce for the retail. They've shifted to e-commerce. So it has a bigger volume, less cost of operations in terms if you compare the traditional retail outlet and an e-commerce platform. The cost of operation is different for them. That's why companies are more tend to push their e-commerce platforms, their e-commerce businesses, and which is actually helping out. It's helping out in promoting any new range, promoting any new products. We get better responses online if we are launching any new region or launching any new product range. We get better and quick responses from online rather compared to the retail traditional outlets. So for us, it's working very well, and we are seeing a quite positive growth. As we are one of the largest supplier of fresh, organic and non-organic both produce to one of the biggest, e-commerce platforms of the UAE.
I think we could hear you, but I think
so. We are observing the consumptions very closely.
I think you're getting stuck in the middle.
Observing the trend very closely. It has a quite waiting for it in the future.
Okay, Mohammed, I think we can't hear you well because you're getting stuck in between. So I'll come back to you.
Hello.
Yeah, I'll come back to you by the time you regain your connection. So Svetlana, I know that Farzana is big into e-commerce as well, right?
Yeah, that's been also opened up by us during COVID time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would say definitely it's something growing up, and we can see a big growth on it. However, it still doesn't cover, those bigger area of the sales channels. Again, like all my focus to understand for supplier to understand which portion he wants to take and where and which channel. So, I mean, I go away a little bit from e-commerce, but this is just to give a right vision. So it could be wholesales, which has its volume. Then it's e-commerce, then it's retail. There is a HoReCa, there is re-export, and everywhere is a different preference somehow. Different price strategies, and so e-commerce for us has been growing. However, it goes along with our main businesses, wholesales, the re-export, and the HoReCa.
Brilliant. Lander, are you on the other side of the table? Like you have got customers who are into e-commerce or online?
Yeah, so we don't have an e-commerce platform. We do, but we don't channel much of our sales through e-commerce. We do, sell products to the Q-commerce. So I think that different to other markets, UAE is an ultra convenient market. So people want things very fast and they want it now. And there's been, huge platforms like Talabat, Careem now that are gaining a lot of foothold within the market. Obviously, the e-commerce giant for food sector is Kipsons. We obviously collaborate with them for loads of the products and food items from Spain, and they grew a lot from COVID. We've seen that our colleagues over here, panelists, they also launched their e-commerce platforms during COVID. I think that was a very convenient time to launch e-commerce, but it's definitely a channel that's growing massively. and it's due to the convenience that people want things delivered to their house. When I speak to people that don't live in Dubai, when you have petrol delivered to your house, it means that it's a city built for ultra convenience. So that's definitely a channel that's very interesting. But it doesn't really affect the exporters. It affects more the importers and the distributors. Because at the end of the day, when you sell a product from Spain, it doesn't matter what channel it will go through, if it's brick and mortar or if it's e-commerce, as long as it's in a doable channel that's going to have enough reach. That's the important side for the exporters to understand.
Yeah, it's only an accelerator in terms of creating that further demand and getting the product out there, right? So, Mohammed, sorry, we missed you. Yeah, in between, and the last bit of what you said, I think we couldn't hear.
So I was explaining about the Q-commerce, yeah, and sorry, the e-commerce part, and good thing Lander mentioned the Q-commerce as well. So both of them, we are into the point where we are supplying to every nature of the business that can sell organic produce. So we are supplying them, and we are observing the trends. As Lander said, they are incredibly fast-growing businesses, fast-growing industries, and the projections are that soon they will, the e-commerce loving people, they say that soon it will take over the overall retail experience. But still, I have doubts. But again, it's moving very well. It has good future. For us, it works very well. Like for me, if I have a product that I have to display it somewhere to sell, I have options like retail, physical retail outlet, or an e-commerce platform. I will go with first with e-commerce because it has quick it eliminates all the processes. When I'm working with Carrefour, I want to list new items with Carrefour. It's a time that takes about 20 days to go on the shelf. For a product to go on the shelf takes at least 20-25 days, but with e-commerce, it's immediately there. And it's not that retailers are slow. No, it's not like that. It's the process. Has to go that way. But in e-commerce platforms, the listing part is much easier, is quicker. The response from the customer is very quick and immediate. If the product is being accepted, like if I want to go for promotions, I would go for e-commerce because this is the place where promotions and discounts are more acknowledged. People are more, personally involved in placing the order rather than their workers going to the market and purchasing. They do it themselves, so it has a better impact for us. So for us, the e-commerce is always a better spot to sell the produce compared to retail, but retail gives us the volumes. So Svetlana said, of course, the wholesale has a bigger volume, but in organic industry, wholesale hasn't developed much. So it's rather retail or e-commerce or quick Q-commerce, but in terms of volumes, retail takes the bigger volumes.
Okay. Thanks for that, Mohammed. I think Oriol has got some questions from the audience. Oriol?
Yeah, we have some exhibitors coming this year to the fair in the nuts industry, and particularly a couple of big companies from pistachio from Spain. I wanted to know if you are currently working with nut companies and what is your feedback on this market, and particularly about pistachios as well.
I'm laughing because obviously pistachio is very related to what everyone knows, which is the Dubai chocolate, and apparently there's like a shortage on pistachios. And a lot of the growers that we've actually worked with in Spain, they've actually shifted their productions from citrus to pistachios because it's something that's more lucrative at the end of the day. It obviously takes a more process. We've worked with organic pistachios before. It's something that's sometimes is in demand, but exporters need to understand that there's other markets closer to this market that can be very competitive, and the quality for someone that is not an expert at eating pistachios is maybe not as perceivable. So a lot of the imports and a lot of the purchases are done obviously based on price. And I think that there are other regions that can be more competitive. Yes, there will be a quality disadvantage, for me to say so, or a disagreement where, you know, Spanish producers will defend that their production of pistachio will be better than other countries. But at the end of the day, the end consumer doesn't really understand those profiles. So yes, so replying to your answer, I think yes, there is demand, but we need to understand what segment of the demand it fits, and especially what the pricing is, and moreover, the volume that they're able to export.
That's well understood, Lander. Thank you.
Okay. So I think I know that probably a couple of minutes ago we touched upon language and you know, the importance of understanding the culture, right? So I think I've got one question which is related to that, which is how important is cultural understanding in successfully marketing Spanish products into the UAE? So of course, one element is language, and of course, that's also part of, like, you know, the regulations and documentations, but how sensitive, whether it be packaging, be it the language and whatnot. So what are your thoughts on the cultural understanding when brands are trying to market themselves?
I think that the first thing that exporters need to understand is the multiculturality that exists within the UAE. We're obviously seeing in European countries that the tendency is to become more multicultural, but UAE is something that's very special. So there's obviously very strong local traditions. There's a consumer base of Emiratis, Arabs, Asians, Western expats. So I think it's very essential to understand the Islamic values, such as obviously the importance of the halal that's already been mentioned, the modesty in branding. So, you know, avoiding certain types of imagery within the products and the packaging. Obviously, to completely avoid any alcohol-based ingredients. This is essential for product acceptance. And you know, as an example, to position organic products as healthy, family safe, and aligned with the sustainability. This connects very well to UAE's growing focus on wellness and environmental awareness.
Good thoughts. How about you, Svetlana? Is in your business cultural understanding, does that play a big role?
Yeah, I would totally agree with what Lander said. Also, for the better positioning, it's very good to follow up on the religious events, you know, whereas the sales could be boosted, let's say, as Ramadan, Eid break. So that's where, you know, with the right branding and the right message from to the final consumer, it would give a better return than just you know, we like most of the time when we import bananas from Ecuador, for example, in the Ramadan time, we do a special box, you know, with lights and some message. When it comes to Eid, it also has a special branding, just to give a, you know, a different message and appreciate the country and value of the consumer in here. Yeah, I think also for labeling, this is just something as important things when it goes, for example, to the UAE, to Saudi Arabia. So it also needs to have a label in Arabic. So when Lander was saying that to make sure it's in English for some countries, the KSA, it should be English and Arabic.
Right.
So for UAE, it's normal to be just in English with mentioning a product type, country of origin, importer, exporter. That's it.
Okay. Mohammed, any tips on better marketing techniques that works?
Yeah. With us, it's a little differently since we don't bring the final packaged product. We bring in loose. Okay, so for us, most of those things don't apply. But of course, understanding the culture helps a lot since in Ramadan there is like the consumption food products gets way bigger than normal day in Ramadan. So if you have understanding about the culture, you can prepare yourself better before Ramadan and can, bring up a huge assortment or, a line of fruit products and can send them all to UAE. And people at that time are, you know, accepting and welcoming anything you bring to the shelf. So it's the best time to get that. There are Eids, there are, days. And also understanding the culture, you also understand that there are months when there are no or less people in here in UAE, when most of them are traveling due to certain holiday seasons or any events or something when they are traveling. So those days the consumption are low. It can go up to like 1 month. So the month of August, for example, is something that's considered as very low consuming month. You cannot plan your huge production ranges for the month of August, right? So yeah, that can help a lot.
I think what Lana said is very, very interesting in terms of Eid breaks and the seasonality. And I would like to say that for the Spanish exporters that don't really know this region, Ramadan, Eid, these cultural events are as big or bigger than Christmas for us in Europe. Christmas, Los Reyes in Spain, the Three Kings. So creating packagings and adapting their products for these seasonal events is extremely important within the UAE. So I think that Lana, that's a very important topic that has to be discussed for sure.
Okay, totally agree with that. So with that, most of my questions are over. Oriol, do you have any further questions from your side?
No, and anyone that has any questions right now, or if seeing this in the future, can contact us, and we will be more than happy to address to the appropriate panelist or to the appropriate expert from the Organic and Natural Fair team.
Sure. And I think with that, pretty much we are on time. But I think, I just wanted to catch your attention to say, like a parting comment, if you could give us kind of like your final thoughts. So who would want to go first?
Obviously,
Yeah.
me.
I
Sorry,
would like to take
I'll
it
be
over
a
this
gentleman
time.
this time. It's your time for sure. So
Thank
please.
you. Yeah, in general, I think it's also important to highlight what is the support platforms basically existing for Spanish suppliers. For sure, one of the things what we are doing now, where the people see they get some insights where they can position it. I think for the UAE also there is companies as Halal Trade and Marketing Center. This is something which really helps
For
to
partners, yeah.
what was Lander question about the different type of the Halal certificate. Those will be the very right company to address the right matters. I think there is a companies as ASICS and